Hi guys, I'm gonna go ahead and put this on Facebook first. Trying to figure out how to. I'm like not efficient at any of this. So okay, share, copy link. Okay, let me just wait for people to get on here. And if you guys can hear me, please let me know. Let me share it to my Facebook too. Let me add the link. Oops. Oh, maybe it's already shared. Let's see. Here is the link. All right. Okay. So I think we're good now. Okay, so I'll wait for a couple more minutes. I wish I could edit this. I don't think I can. I'm really sure that everyone can see me and hear me. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna give it about 30 more seconds and then I'm gonna get started. All right, you guys. Let me actually turn it off because I have the chat pulled up on my phone. Okay. Um, cool. Okay, so I was not planning to make a video today, and I also was not planning to necessarily like talk about current events, but actually people have asked me to like make commentary on things, and like I was gonna do something on the Will Smith, Chris Rock situation and Kevin Samuels, and I just was like, eh. But for some reason, this particular incident is, I think because I'm a teacher, I was a teacher, it's particularly troubling. And I also am like, I'm not so sure. Just want to give you my hot take, right? And it's probably sorry that it's not going to be extreme because that's just not the kind of person that I am anymore. Um, Maybe at one point in my life, I was just like, just wasn't, didn't have any nuance in my views. But I think nuance is important. And I think you don't have to compromise truth for nuance. So, um, you know, it is what it is. But first, I want to say this, like the people who are saying, like, this shouldn't be happening, like, kids should be able to go to school and feel safe and they shouldn't have to worry about school shootings, like, they are correct. I remember the first time we did like an active shooter drill, and I was like, what are we doing? And it's funny because I grew up at an elementary school where we had to practice shelters in place because our elementary school was right up against an oil refinery, a plant. And so if that plant were to like blow up or something was to happen, we had to have like emergency planning, right? If we couldn't go outside or for whatever reason. And so we used to have to pack these like bags of food, for potentially if something were to happen at the plant. But never, never, ever growing up did we ever have to like prepare for an active shooter. And so the people who are saying like, oh, we shouldn't be doing this, like, I agree with you. I agree that it's abhorrent and evil and despicable and reprehensible that children, particularly elementary school children, and not that high schoolers don't have the same value, but I think youth, like to target babies, is just, it's an abomination. Like it's just horrific. And I think you can feel that way and also not be like, ban all the guns. Like, I think those two things can coexist. Um, so I think the first thing I want to talk about is, you know, um, I saw some posts that were like, and this is going around now. Let me just pull up what it actually says because I don't want to misinterpret it. It's been going around on Instagram and Facebook, and it says something like prayer is a pretty something to do when you're not offering solutions. And I want to talk about that as a Christian because I'm about to go in on somebody though. Let me see if I can figure it out. Let's see. Okay, here we go. There is something deeply hypocritical about praying for a problem you are unwilling to resolve. And I have two thoughts on that. Okay. The first is like how arrogant of me to believe that I am powerful enough to change the hearts of wicked people. Like, how arrogant for me to think that I just like, you're not willing to resolve this problem. This is a problem that, honey baby, I cannot resolve. If we're talking about the real problem, which I'll get to in a second. So how arrogant of me to be like, to tell someone you're praying and that you can't resolve that problem. And it's like, you're correct. And in fact, it's the most humbling thing you can do is pray, because you actually understand that this is such a deeper problem than gun control laws. And I'm actually not anti-gun control laws. So again, you gotta have nuance. You can't be stupid, right? Um, so that thing circling around about prayer is just, it's like the arrogance and the pompousness of someone who does not know God. Because if you understand what's actually happening, this is much deeper than gun control laws, and you cannot outlaw evil. Murder is already wrong. Domestic abuse is already outlawed. Rape is already outlawed. Can't say that on YouTube. Is already outlawed. Already outlawed. So when you understand that it is the hearts of man and woman, I guess if you want to say, that needs to be changed, the best thing you can do is pray. And that doesn't mean that you can't act, right? And I think that's important too. You know, when I talk with my fitness clients, I tell them, like, yeah, you need to pray about your issues, but you also need to act. And that's not to diminish, the power of God, but it's for you too. Like, you do have to work. How are you showing your faith if you're not working? Is your work, do you actually have faith? How are you showing your faith? So now so I said all that to say that, like, I think sometimes we want an immediate solution, and I think that's very much human nature. So yes, there's a lot of push right now for like absolute gun control, and I don't think that is necessarily wrong. I think that there should be I've had some questions. It's true. Why does an 18-year-old get to have a gun but can't drink alcohol? Like, I am confusion, right? Um, is it because they can go to the military? Like, there are some questions that I have, right? But I think we have to be very careful about trying to solve I'll call it a 30%, um, a 90% problem with a 70% problem with a 30% solution. And what I mean by that is, I wonder how much of this problem is actually the availability of guns. Because I am someone who likes to get to the heart of things. Why did you do that in the first place? Like, before you purchasing the gun, what was going on in your mind? And I think that is where the solution has to be focused, and not just on the outcome. We're very much a reactive country, right? We even do medicine that way. We're like, well, let's just let you do it. And then boom, you got diabetes, here's some medication. It's not like, hey, why did you have diabetes in the first place? It's like, here's some insulin. It's not, hey, you should weight train and eat properly first. It's, oh, we'll wait till you get diabetes, and here's the insulin, and here's the medication. And I think that's how we're approaching the problem of mass shootings. I think that's problematic. And I think, like, for me as a teacher, as I watched children change. I'm outside, so there's a bee. I've watched a change happen in youth, in children, mentally and emotionally, that honestly, I'm not sure what the solution is, but I can tell you that there's been a huge change and a huge shift, and children they're unhappy, they're anxious, they're depressed, they're hopeless, they're helpless, they're lacking direction. And I'm inclined to think that that is why someone does something like this. And yes, we can say, hey, why is it that AR-15s are like, why can an 18-year-old have an AR-15? That's a great question. I got questions too. But my question is, what makes an 18-year-old walk into an elementary school, not even his own high school? What makes an 18-year-old walk into an elementary school and light that thing up? It's not the gun. And so I think trying to outlaw evil can be a dangerous path to go down. And I think the bigger question is, what is happening in our nation that this is becoming something that is normal? Because there is a shift, and I don't think people don't want to admit it. They're like, it's almost like they're pretending like things haven't changed. They have. Children are different. How we're solving problems is different. This was not a problem before, and I think we have to ask ourselves again, what is happening? Because gun control laws were, they were the same. Like, what is going on now? And this doesn't mean that you can't do both, right? Like, you can do both. You can both consider how and where and when firearms are available to people. And you can also ask the more important question of, what makes an 18-year-old walk into an elementary school and light it up? Because I think that is the question that we're trying to pretend like it does not matter. And again, very American of us. There's all these posts like, this is America. Yeah, you know what's also America? Us reacting to things and not finding solutions. Let me go post on the internet and talk about how much I hate Christians for praying for this, and talk about how much, and it's like, but you didn't ask the question that preceded that, which is, what makes an 18-year-old walk into an elementary school with 7 and 8-year-old babies and go light it up? And then let's talk about how, when, where, and why this person got a gun. And I want to say something else, because this is not very kind, but I'm gonna say it. For those of us who have lived in neighborhoods where gun violence is prevalent, you and I both know that half those guns are obtained illegally. So evil gonna evil, sinners are gonna sin. And the real issue just might not be who has a gun and why. And to think that it's such a simple solution to a complex problem is truly naive. It's truly naive. And what a privilege for you to never have to understand the idea that most people who commit gun violence on a regular basis do not have legal ownership of guns. Please. So, that is my take on that. I think this hits close to home, because as a teacher, you go to work and I would go to work, and I would think like you're like, today, Lord, don't let today be the day, because this is a thing that's happening regularly, right? Don't let today be the day. And I will say, when I was working at the school, we didn't have any gun incidents, but we had multiple bomb threats. So again, it goes back to the idea of trying to solve a complex problem with a very simple solution. Well, let's just outlaw guns. Well, baby, people out here making bombs. You know, and so I think we have to ask ourselves the question that nobody wants to ask, because everybody wants to be like, I'm on the right side of this issue and I'm just like anti-gun, or I'm on the right side of this issue and I'm pro-gun. And it's like, no, like, can we talk about the real issue though? Like, let's talk about the real heart issue and what's happening to our children that they're doing these kinds of things. And then we can talk about adults, right? Because a lot of these, there are also mass shootings of adults. Like, what is happening there? And again, I want to say this before I leave, that doesn't mean that you can't simultaneously consider restriction, reformation, whatever, adaptation of gun laws. I don't think those two things are mutually exclusive. And this is, I think, the result of black and white, 150 characters Twitter culture, who just can't freaking think critically anymore. It's like, right? It's like, stop the foolishness. So yeah, it's sad. It's heartbreaking. I don't know how a family deals with something like this, you know. But life is short, and it's so important to know that life is short. And, you want to be prepared to go when you die. So just know where you stand with God, right? And that's important too, because none of us know. I think that's the sad. This is just a reminder of like the brevity of life, and like nobody knows when it's their hour or time to go. And because we live in an evil and wicked world where human beings are flawed, this is unfortunately part of the daily life. And that doesn't mean that we can't mitigate it, but I'm gonna tell you right now, you cannot eliminate it. Evil cannot be eliminated. But it can be mitigated. And I think it's important to look at all of the solutions to mitigation instead of just one. All right, guys, that's the video. I will see y'all in the next one. Bye. Oh yeah, let me know your thoughts on the comments below. Does this resonate with you, whether you agree or disagree? I am not like offended when people disagree with me. It's like, whatever, you're allowed to disagree. But let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.